Hey guys, Justin Watcher here for ProSportsExtra.com. I'm going to make a quick little video here about, of course, all the WWE releases that everybody's talking about. The news just dropped maybe about an hour ago. I was actually in the waiting room sitting in there and getting an oil change done. And all of a sudden the tweets started blowing up. So let's just kind of go through each little name again. ProSportsExtra.com, they have a column up already about it, and I'm sure a lot will be said about it. So right now everything's kind of just speculation, but here's what we know right now. Let's start with the bigger names and kind of work our way from there. But the big name right now everybody's talking about is Braun Strowman released. I know he won the title last year, the Universal Championship off Goldberg at WrestleMania. So you're thinking, how in the world did that guy end up getting released a year later? Well, here's what people don't remember. Braun Strowman wasn't even on the WrestleMania card last year. He was doing nothing. He was in one of his little hiatuses, whether it was a minor injury or whatever. They just kind of would always do something with him and then not, and then put him in a big spot and then do nothing with them. So it wasn't all too surprising, except, oh yeah, Roman Reigns ended up going home for health reasons, obviously for his family, and understandable. No issues with that. And Goldberg needed an opponent on the SmackDown side of things. And there was Braun sitting there doing nothing. And they're like, yeah, I guess we can kind of heat this guy back up a little bit and make him champion. And honestly, it would be credible. It would be something that people could see just because of his size, but also because of his past and his talent and being in main events before that. So Braun was then made champion. And again, what ended up happening? Had a horrible run, didn't really do much. And then The Fiend won it off him, and then Roman Reigns right after that. And then look at that, ratings went up for SmackDown, and people started caring about SmackDown again. So again, I know Braun's kind of had an up and down career, but he was the big release. But really, ultimately, I think it came down to his contract. I know he made some comments during the pandemic about the indies and all that stuff, and I don't necessarily disagree with him too much on some of those comments, but unfortunately now it's going to definitely be a bad look, which is why sometimes you just don't make comments like that, because you don't know what karma is going to bring. You don't know what hindsight's going to bring. So looking back on those, probably not the best comments, even if in his case they were true and he did believe them. But signing a brand new big fat contract, and well, guess what, if they're looking to trim a few costs here and there, and they're looking at, oh man, this guy's making X amount of hundreds of thousands, if not a million a year. I don't know if he's making that much, but yeah, you can see where they probably thought, let's just kind of cut the big guy. He's what, late 30s by now, all that stuff. So they're not doing anything. And again, they weren't doing anything with him. Remember Raw Underground, they threw him into that again, had no idea what to do with him. So I get it. Up next, I think, is probably the biggest release of all of them. Not Braun Strowman. I'm going with Aleister Black. Absolute stud in NXT, champion, everything, big time there. The main roster, and yes, I still call it the main roster. The main roster call up with Ricochet, kind of random and kind of thrown out there. They kind of called up a bunch of guys, if you remember that, and it didn't really do anything. It wasn't this huge impact where he kind of showed up and took names and kicked some booty, but he didn't do any of that. So it was kind of weird from the start. And, he had been off TV again for the past 6 months. So again, if he had any sort of big contract, then I can understand it. But here's the thing. He had recently been getting some promos for SmackDown returning, and apparently all these big plans, there's always these reports of, oh, there's big plans for this person, and oh, the writing staff is really enamored with this person, and just, oh man, they're so enamored with him. Well, he came out, did a little thing with Big E, and then I guess now he's released. So everybody's going to have their theories of what the heck changed in the past week or two, but I don't know what else really changed. I know there's been reports of his wife, Zelina Vega, returning to the company. If you remember, she was let go a few months ago also, and now if she was coming back, maybe they thought, oh, her and Aleister Black could do something, and maybe a change of heart. Maybe Zelina did not actually sign. And then they thought, okay, well, if this is the case, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I know Aleister already put out a tweet and kind of seemed disappointed and shocked by the release. And it certainly was shocking considering, like I said, he was just coming back. But, I'll say this now for everybody. They're all going to be fine. I don't care which company is going to sign them. It doesn't really matter, honestly. All these guys are going to be fine. They're all going to land on their feet. Today is going to be a tough day for them, no doubt about it. Everybody's going to send them tweets and messages and texts and everything and tell them all these positive things. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're all going to be fine. And maybe down the road, WWE brings them back, or maybe down the road, they land some huge contract and do better elsewhere. I don't know yet, but, don't fret for them too much. Don't worry too much. They're going to be fine. And up next is Lana. Again, I believe she just recently also signed a new 5-year deal. I believe it was last year, maybe. I could be wrong on the timing of all that, but she also had some sort of new deal Where I'm not saying she was a big contract, but if it was anywhere close to being a big contract, they could have thought, let's just kind of cut our losses here. I mean, the tag team with Naomi, I mean, they can only lose so many times. They weren't ever doing anything. And I know she was training hard with Natalia. Okay, we've seen the videos, we've seen the Total Divas or Total Bellas or whatever show they're on. We've seen it, no doubt about it. Lana has put in the work, and I think in a lot of ways earned the respect. So, a little disappointing to see her ended up getting released. And I know a lot of people are going to take pot shots now and stuff, but look at that NXT women's roster, man. They're going to keep coming up. Those guys are going to keep getting called up. Those girls right now, I know people are going to make Eva Marie jokes, but they got her waiting in the ring, waiting in the wings. You can't have 5,000, people on the roster. So guys, girls, it doesn't matter. These NXT call-ups are going to keep happening. These indie signings are going to keep happening. So either you're improving and you're drawing numbers, or you're making an impact, or you're not. That kind of sucks to say sometimes. But my buddy just texted me, holy crap, and he was shocked by some of the names. But it's like, I texted back, man, these NXT people, they keep coming up. Those names are going to keep coming up. I mean, Rhea Ripley, all these people, here they come, more TV time, all this stuff. So a little shocking there. And speaking of Ruby Riott, I don't know whatever happened with her run. I know the Riott Squad had their moment in the sun, but it didn't necessarily go anywhere too much. So not too surprising by this. She will definitely land on her feet somewhere, and she is somebody I could see making a impact, let's just say, somewhere else, and then WWE giving her a call back and maybe having something for her to actually do this time. Another name who wasn't really doing much, but Santana Garrett. I mean, I know there's been stories that she was actually kind of on the main roster and actually NXT call up from Raw or SmackDown or something like that. Like she was actually on the main roster but never did anything. So I wonder if she was actually on a main roster contract. So again, if they are looking to cut costs for whatever reason, and yes, there are stories, starting to form out there of why they are cutting costs, even though they have record profits. So let's just get that out of the way now, record profits. But, there's some rumors out there of what exactly they may be planning for. But regardless, if they didn't have anything for her, again, if they're not going to do anything with her, then I'm sure they can cut that huge contract. So up last here, not to end things on a down note, but Buddy Murphy, I